Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the laws of exponents. I'm just going to do a overview of these laws. I'm not going to get into big details with them, into a lot of details, but just an overview, just so we can understand exactly how they work. And this is the 5 laws of exponents we're going to go over. We're going to start with zero exponents. So all this rule states is that anything to the power of 0 equals 1. So whether it's, x to the power of 0 is 1, um, 10 to the power of 0 equals 1, 15 to the power of 0 equals 1. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. Doesn't matter what it is. To the power of 0 is 1. The next rule we're going to do is negative exponents. So whenever you have a negative exponent, you have to change it. You cannot have a negative exponent. So you flip it. So in this case, this is x to the negative 2. The number underneath is this imaginary 1. So in order to make this exponent positive, you have to move it to the bottom. Right? It's x negative 2. To make it positive, it would be 1 over x to the 2. Right? You change it and it becomes positive. Again, something like 2 to the negative 3 would become 1 over 2 to the third. I could, if I wanted to solve, 2 to the third. 2 times 2 times 2 is 1 over 8. So here's another one. Let's just do a 4 to the negative 2 equals 1 over 4 squared, which is 1 over 16. So if the number starts underneath, right, 1 over x negative 2, this is negative, so you have to flip it, then it becomes positive. So it'll be x squared. As all the rule states is that there's a negative exponent, you have to flip it. If it's on the top like this one, it comes to the bottom. If it's on the bottom, then it comes to the top. So one more, 6 negative 2, right? It's on the bottom, 1 over 6 to the negative 2, so you have to change it to positive and move it to the top, 6 squared. So let's move on to multiplying with exponents. So before we start on this, we need to review some vocabulary. If you have x squared, this is your exponent. This is your base. Anything that has an exponent would be your base. It's also the variable. But when we're dealing with all these exponents, it's important to understand that it's your base. The 2 is still your exponent, and the 4 is your base. Right? Whatever has an exponent, it becomes your base. If we added a number in front of the x, this number here is the coefficient. This number here is your base. And this number is still your exponent. So when we talk about multiplying exponents, we're multiplying exponents that have the same base. Here, let me show you. Let me show you what I mean. So we have x to the 4th times x to the 6th. Right? The base is the same. Whenever the base is the same and you're multiplying, you add the exponents. So this is going to be x4 plus 6, which is x10. When you do the worksheet for me, I want this step here. I want to see what you're doing. Don't just give me the answer. Make sure you write this or it's not going to count. I need to see this. So let's do another one. x3 times x to the 10th. That's going to be, because we're multiplying, we're going to add the exponents. Right, we're going to add the exponents. So this is going to be 3 plus 10, which is going to be x to the 13th. This will work even if you're multiplying negative. Something like x to the 2nd times x to the negative 5th. This would be x2 plus negative 5, which is x negative 3. But just on the last rule, you can't have this negative exponent, so we're going to have to flip it. So instead, it's going to be 1 over x to the third positive. Remember, when you change it to positive from negative, you flip it and it becomes positive. So this would be our final answer. I'll do a couple more. When you're multiplying bases, you add the exponents. So x3 times x to the negative second would be x3 plus negative 2, which is x, my x1, but I don't have to put the 1, it's imaginary 1. Speaking of imaginary ones, x times x4. This is going to be x1 plus 4, which is x to the 5th. All right, last one. This works as long as the exponent, as long as the base is the same. We could do it this way too. Right, we could have more. If we multiply all these together, we're still just adding the bases. So it's going to be x2 plus negative 1 plus 5 plus negative 10. So that's going to be x negative 4. But we can't have a negative exponent, so it's going to be 1 over x to the 4th. We have to move it down and make it positive. So this would be our final answer. All right, let's go to division. So when you divide bases that have the same exponent, for instance, x to the 10th divided by x to the 4th, right? They have the same exponent, and when you divide, you subtract the exponents. So this is going to be x to the 6th. So subtract when you divide. So when you have a division, subtract. So again, x to the 3rd divided by x to the 2nd is going to be x3 minus 2, which is going to be x. So this is true too if some of these are negative. For instance, the bases are the same and you're still dividing, so you're going to subtract these, but it's going to be x negative 4 minus 2. X negative 4 minus 2 is x negative 6. And this is a negative exponent, so you have to flip it. 1 over x to the 6th. Let's do a couple more with these negative exponents. So x4 divided by x negative 7. So again, bases are the same, you're dividing, so you're going to subtract. So this is going to be x4 minus negative 7. Now you have to remember what happens when you subtract a negative. This turns into plus. So it's going to be x 11. Because this 4 minus a negative, this turns into plus, and it's 4 plus 7. So one more, if they're both negative, x negative 2 divided by x negative 4, it's going to be x negative 2 minus negative 4. So this is going to be x2, because negative 2 minus negative 4 is 2. So as a reminder, I need to see this step when you do the worksheets for me. I need to see this step when you do this worksheets for me. All right, now the last one is power to a power. So this would be like if you have x squared and the whole thing is to the power of 3. Power to a power, you multiply. So this would be 2 times 3, which is x6. So you multiply when you have power to a power. All right, another one. X negative 3 to the power of 4. You're multiplying, so it's going to be x negative 3 times 4, which equals x negative 12. But it can't be negative, so you have to move it underneath. 1 over x 12. All right. One more like this. Power to power, multiply. So if they're both negative, x to the negative second times x to the negative second to the power of negative 4. You're still multiplying, power to a power. Whatever's on the outside, you have to move it to the inside. So it's going to be negative 2 times negative 4, which is x8. All right, that's it. Like I said, it's going to be a quick one. The next video with exponents will get a little more complicated, but for now, we're just doing this so you understand the rules. Thanks.